everybody, thank you so much for joining me here today at Re-Written Vintage Homestead. And you know what season it is? It's harvest season. And my garden is just overflowing, and so now it's work, 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 every chance that I have. And so every year I have wanted to join the Every Bit Counts Challenge, and that is put on by Three Rivers Homestead. But I always thought it seemed overwhelming. And what that is every day in the month of August, you preserve something for your homestead. But it doesn't have to be canning. You can freeze, you can dehydrate, you can just buy in bulk and put that away. You can forage, whatever, you just do something every day. And this is the perfect time to do that because that's what I'm doing anyway. So this year I decided to jump in, and it is fun because the channels use the hashtag everybitcountschallenge. So you can go from channel to channel to channel and see what each channel did that week. So today is day 1, August 1st, 2023, and I'm still dealing with zucchini. So this week I'm focusing on zucchini. And did you know that zucchini, it's about 96% water, and so it takes on the flavor of whatever you put it with. If you put it with pineapple juice, it'll taste like pineapples. If you put it with apple juice, you can use it in apple pies for apple pie filling, and nobody will know the difference. It has the same texture and the same taste. And so today I'm going to work on that, and I'm going to make mine taste like the pineapple so that I can use it in recipes that call for pineapple. And I won't have to spend that money or run to the store and get pineapple because I'll have something I can substitute. So let's get started. So you want to use your large zucchini for this. It just saves you a lot of time, and rather than messing with the small ones. But I'm going to cut off the blossom ends of each of this. Some people have, really nice peelers, but this is just like peeling a tater. So I just take my knife and peel like that. And then after I have that done, I'm going to take my zucchini and cut it in half. And then you can see I have seeds. Some seeds that have started to form. And so I'm gonna work this just like I'm working a watermelon with a spoon. So I just take my spoon and I scrape out the seeds. If you really want people to think that they're eating pineapple, or really want them to think that they're eating apples, you don't want any seeds to pop up. See, I'm just gonna hollow that out like a potato. Just get it the best that you can. Then you're going to take it and you're going to cut those into bite-sized pieces. About the size of apple or about the size of pineapple. See? It's that easy. Now we're going to put them in jars. So I have a sterilized, clean canning jar here, and I'm going to start adding my zucchini. Until I get to the top, I'm going to leave about 1/4 of an inch headspace. Isn't that pretty? I love zucchini. It is so versatile. You can use it for so many recipes. Okay. Now that I have the zucchini in my jar, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. One tablespoon of lemon juice. And then I'm going to fill it up the rest of the way with pineapple juice. And everything is at room temperature. Get my little spatula here. You want to make sure that you get the air bubbles out. See how those rise to the top? You want to get those out of there. So you rub this all the way around your jar. Push those down a little bit. Then I'm going to take a paper towel and wipe around the rim. A nice linen towel works well too. Get on the inside too. You want to make sure everything seals. And I think I can add a little more juice to get it up to that mark there. Here we go. Outside and inside as good as you can. So I ended up with 4 quarts and 1 pint, and the water and the ingredients on the inside of each jar are all room temperature. Now I'm bringing the water to a boil, and once it starts boiling, we're going to water bath these for 25 minutes. And with the rest of the zucchini, I shredded it. I'm going to put it in the freezer for muffins and bread. And I sliced it, and it'll go in the freezer for stir fries and casseroles. So for today's challenge, I'm going to process the rest of my red cabbage, and I've shredded it all. I washed it first. I peeled the outer leaves off, cored it, and shredded it. Now I need to blanch it, and blanching is important because it helps the cabbage keep its color, and we need to make sure we get rid of any kind of bugs or things that I might have missed just by washing it. But it's going to lose a lot of volume while I cook it, so I'm not going to submerge it in water. I'm just going to add enough that'll let it bring to a boil and kill off anything that I want killed off, and then we'll rinse it off. So I just blanched this for about 3 minutes in hot water. I didn't cover it completely because it cooks down. And I'm going to push the excess water out of it. And I want to show you guys something. Look at that beautiful, absolutely beautiful purple coloring. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, what I suggest if you do crafts is you want to freeze that. And then when you color Easter eggs, if you want to use natural dyes, here's your purple. Look at that. Or if you have wool or yarn that you want to dye with natural dyes, use this. You can also do that with beet juice. But it's really fun to do with Easter eggs. Don't let anything go to waste. All right. So now I'm going to bring you over here. So what I do, here we go. What I do is I have my muffin tins here. And I fill my muffin tins with the red cabbage. Smush it down tightly. And then I'm going to put it in the freezer. And so once they're frozen by tomorrow, when I take them out, there'll be little cup-size things of cabbage. And so I'll put those in freezer bags. And then if I'm making soup or stew or a salad or coleslaw, all I have to do is grab 1, 2, 3 of these instead of grabbing a bag that I might end up wasting too much of the cabbage. This way I can control how much I'm using. So I'm going to fill these up and put them in the freezer. And this is day 2. And here's my frozen cabbage, and all I do is take a butter knife, stick it in warm water, go around the edge, and they pop right out. Whoops, it's hard to do with one hand. There we go. And I'll put those in these large freezer bags so that if I need them for soups or salads or a casserole, I can just pick 1 or 2, however many I need, and not waste a lot by trying to put them in a big bag. Okay, so today is August 3rd, and I'm working on all of this corn. And so what I do is I run it under cold water and take a scrub brush to try to get most of the silk off of it. I don't have a slicer, so I just use a knife. And I go all around the cob to get my corn out. When I'm done with this and I have this all processed, I'm keeping my cobs here because I'm going to make corn cob jelly. If you have chickens or farm animals, you can give your cobs to them, or you can put it in your compost. So I brought the corn to a boil and I let it boil about 3 minutes. Then I'm going to rinse it with cold water, let it cool for a bit, and put it in freezer bags. So I ended up with 32 cobs that I'm keeping to put in the freezer to make jelly, and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 24 bags of corn on August the 3rd. Today is day 4, August 4th, and I have a big batch of cucumbers I need to do something with, so I'm going to make my pickles. So I start off with my cucumbers here, and I cut the blossom ends off, and then I just take my knife and cut them into slices. If you have a mandolin, you could go ahead and use that. I don't, because I have a hard time not taking the tip of my finger off, so for some reason, I've always just done better when I stick with the knife. So I'm going to cut my cucumbers, and then we'll make our pickling sauce. I don't particularly worry if my cucumber is a little too big for the pickles. For example, this is a better size. It's smaller. You can probably see. If you want it to look like a true pickle, like what you get from the store. But these are going to shrink up actually when they get in the brine, which is the salt. And so they're going to shrink up to a nice size. So don't worry that your cucumbers are a little too big compared to what you get at the store. They're going to be just fine. Now, when I make my pickles, I do it the easy way. I use Mrs. Wage's mix. You can find this at Meijer, at Walmart, at Rural King, at Farm and Fleet. Now, I don't like all of her mixes, but I have found the dill pickle mix is really good. I don't like the spicy mix for pickles. It's really, really hot. It says it's mild, but it's really hot. And this is really easy to do, and that's why I like it, because after a while, you have to be kind of particular about your time. And pickles are so easy, especially if you use a mix like this to create your brine. So what it calls for is 7 1/3 cups of water, 3 1/3 cups of distilled white vinegar, and 1 package mix. And I'm just going to put this on the stove, and I'm going to let it cook until it all dissolves and starts to boil. Now, let me point out something really important when you make pickles is you need a non-reactive bowl, a stainless steel bowl. I'm speaking from experience here. If you don't use a non-reactive bowl, then you're going to end up with a yellow pot, yellow utensils, and your pickles will be a different color than you want them to be. So make sure you invest in a nice bowl. Sterilized my jars. First I washed them good in soap and water, and then I put them in a boiling hot water bath. And now I'm going to add my cucumbers. I'm just going to pack them in there and leave about 1/2 inch headspace. These smell so good. I tell you, melons and tomatoes smell like summer. Your cucumbers, your watermelon, your zucchini. Okay. Now they will shrink up after they have cooked and you put the brine on them and they've set a while. So don't worry if you don't have the perfect size cucumbers. They'll still taste delicious. Okay, so I've packed those fairly well. You can see I have about, right now, a little, I would say maybe a little more than 1/2 inch, but once I add my liquid, we'll be good. Because we want that liquid to go over the top. And that's what we're going to add next. I've got my rims and my lids over here in the pot, and they are being sterilized. I'm about ready to use those. And then I'm letting the brine cook just until it boils, which we are really close to that. And if you guys like a sweeter tasting dill pickle, there is nothing wrong with adding a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons, whatever you like, of sugar and getting it to the taste that you like, if you like a little sweeter dill pickle. So we're almost ready to add this brine to our pickles and put our lids on. So I ended up with 7 pints of pickles, and I'm going to take my brine here and pour it in. And I'm going to try to leave 1/2 inch headspace on each one of those after I get the liquid. Pour it in. You want to make sure your pickles are all the way covered. That one's going to need a little more. And then you're going to take your rubber spatula here and go all the way around so that you get the air bubbles out of your jars and they'll seal well. Just go all the way around. You can see some of the bubbles rising up to the top. Push those down a little more. Then I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm going to wipe the rims and just along the inside here to make sure there isn't anything on my jars that's going to keep them from sealing. Let me get my lids out of the canner. Okay, then you're just going to take your rims and you just want it to be finger tight, you guys. The whole purpose of this is to just hold the lid on, not to keep it from moving. So right about there, okay? And then I'm going to put it in my canner. So my pot has started to boil, a slow boil. And so I'm going to let that boil for about 10 minutes. Once that's done, I'm going to turn off my heat, let my cans sit in the hot water for 5 minutes, and then we'll take them out. Today is day 5 of the Every Bit Counts Challenge. And remember, it doesn't have to be any huge thing. It just has to be preparation, food preparation, or herbs, or muffins, or just putting something away for winter. And so today I'm working on my peppers. Nothing fancy here. I'm just cutting them. First I wash them, then I cut them, then I rinse them again and get the seeds out, dice them, and put them into pint-sized bags. And I'll put these away, and we'll use these for soups and stews and any other recipes that call for green peppers this winter. I've got my green peppers all cut up, and I'm going to let them rest about a half hour between these 2 paper towels so that I can soak up the excess moisture. Hi everybody, today is Sunday. This is day 6, August 6th, and today I'm going to work on my tomatoes. So I'm going to dice my tomatoes and can those. And to start, I'm going to cut off any blemishes that I have. And I'm going to just put these in the pot without any water, because as they cook down, they'll create their own juice. But I'm going to only use my best tomatoes, and if they have a blemish, then I will cut that off. Like that. Throw them in the pot, cook those down, and I'm feeling lucky today because I have on my Bucky shirt. Do you guys like Bucky's? Okay, so basically what happens is we're steaming our tomatoes. That way we get to keep more of the tomato instead of boiling it in water and it falling apart. Now you're going to keep steaming your tomato until you see the skin starting to buckle. And then you can just put it in cold water and peel it back. You can take one here to test it and see how easily the skin pulls back. So after the tomatoes have been steamed, you can see the skins just fall off. And make sure that you keep your skins, because that's what we're going to work on tomorrow for day 7. So you're going to take your skins and peel those off. If you need a little start with a knife, go ahead and do that. And then I take my tomatoes and I put them here in my colander and let them drain. After they've drained, I put them in a bowl like this. I'll drain that one more time, and then I'm going to put it in the refrigerator overnight. Hi everybody. Well, today is day 7. It's August 7th, and it has been a lot of work to do this Every Bit Counts challenge. But really, it's no different than this time of year for me anyway, because all of my garden crops are coming in: tomatoes, zucchini, cucumbers, corn. So now's the time I have to do all of this anyway. But I would typically spread it out over like a weekend instead of every day. So that makes it a little more difficult, but we did it and we're going to try to keep going. So yesterday I started on my tomatoes. I was going to can diced tomatoes. And so I steamed them, peeled them, kept the skins. I've got those in the oven right now on my lowest setting. And the lowest setting on my oven is 170. And I'm going to keep them in there just until I can crumble them. And those are in the oven. And I put my tomatoes, after I peeled them, I drained them, and I put them in the refrigerator overnight so they're much easier to handle. And I'm just going to dice these up. I'm going to core them and dice them up and put them in my jars, which are heating over here on the stove. So my jars are all sterilized. And I'm doing the same thing that I always do. I'm going around the rim with a dry paper towel to make sure there's nothing on the rim that might keep the lids from sealing. Isn't it amazing, you guys? I had a huge bowl of tomatoes. By the time you cut them up and you take the skins off and you core them, this is what you have left. But that's all right. So I have those wiped off really good. Now, to each one of those jars, I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of salt. You don't have to add the salt if you don't want to, but I think it enhances the flavor. So I'm going to add that to each. And I'm also going to add some lemon juice. And for the lemon juice, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon for every pint, 2 tablespoons for every quart. And I've got my lids and my rings in the canner, and they're heating up and being sterilized. And as soon as those are done, we're going to process these for 45 minutes. So my tomato skins, I let those dry overnight on this sheet on a paper towel. And then this morning, I put them in the oven. The lowest setting on my oven is 170. And they were in there about an hour. And you can tell if they're ready to go if they start flaking like this, if they're able to crumble. If you take them and they're still really pliable, then they're still too wet. Okay, so I've put mine in my handy dandy grinder that I have. I have a tutorial on this grinder. I will put it below in case anyone is interested. I just love mine. Okay, snap these into place. There we go. Hit that button, hit this button, and it's rather loud, so I will come back once it's grinded. After it's grinded, you get this absolutely fabulous powder that you can use for, you can make your own tomato paste. For every tablespoon of this, you add a half a tablespoon of water. Just mix it up. You can use it as a chili base. You can use it as a spice. You can put it on your popcorn. You can use it for everything. So don't throw these away, and get you a coffee grinder or a nice grinder that you can use so that you can make some tomato powder too. I got quite a bit of tomato powder out of those tomato skins. And I'll be using this all the time as a spice. Or if I'm out of tomato paste. Tomato paste isn't something I ever think of buying usually. Because I make my own spaghetti sauce. I really don't make homemade pizza. But every now and then you come across a recipe where you have to have it. So this will help me out there. You just put a lid on it, put it in your cabinet, and you can keep it for up to a year. So I'm about ready to take my diced tomatoes out of the canner. That's all I'm going to do for today. I've had enough. Tomorrow is day 8, August 8th. And what I'm going to do tomorrow has something to do with this big Moby Dick zucchini. So stay tuned, you guys. I had fun this week. I hope you had a great week too. Come back and join me. Every bit counts.